Most people break under criticism. Just one negative word and they spiral, doubting their worth, their path, their voice. But Epictetus, the ancient Stoic slave-turned-philosopher, saw criticism differently. For him, every attack was a test, not a truth, a mirror, not a verdict. And if you looked into it with the right mindset, you could turn it into something powerful. Imagine someone insults you, calls you weak, foolish, or incapable. What would Epictetus say? He wouldn't tell you to fight back. He'd tell you to pause, to ask yourself one thing. Is it true? Because if it's not, why let it sting? And if it is, then they've done you a favor. They've shown you a weakness you can now strengthen. Epictetus believed that no one can truly offend you without your permission. The insult is theirs, but the reaction is yours. And that's where power lies, not in defending your ego, but in mastering your response. He taught that criticism isn't an attack, it's information. And if you treat it that way, it loses its poison. You see, the Stoic doesn't fear judgment. He studies it. He dissects it. And above all, he remains unmoved by it. Because the Stoic knows his worth is not up for public debate. It's built privately, through discipline, clarity, and action. Now let's go deeper. Let's see how Epictetus would prepare you to walk through fire without flinching. Because the moment you stop fearing criticism is the moment you become unshakable. Epictetus would remind you that the opinions of others are nothing more than projections, reflections of their own fears, desires, and insecurities. It's not things themselves that disturb us, he said, but our judgments about them. That includes other people's judgments about us. Their words only gain power when you assign meaning to them. So why hand over that power so freely? When someone criticizes you, ask, who is speaking? Are they wise? Are they living a life you admire? If not, why carry their opinion like it's sacred? Most people who lash out at others are at war with themselves. Their disapproval is more about their inner chaos than your real flaws. But here's where it gets practical. Epictetus would urge you not to ignore all feedback, just to filter it. Listen for truth without clinging to ego. Let what is useful strengthen you. Let the rest pass like wind through an open window. The key is detachment, not indifference, but powerfully choosing what affects you. The Stoic listens without absorbing, observes without reacting. And in that gap between stimulus and response, he finds his strength. This isn't passive, this is active resistance, a mental shield forged through repetition and clarity. The more you practice it, the less fragile you become. You start to feel it, not as suppression, but as true freedom. Most people brace for impact when criticism comes, like a punch they didn't see coming. But the Stoic prepares in advance, not with defense, but with self-awareness. Epictetus wouldn't tell you to shut it down. He'd tell you to get ahead of it. How? By knowing your weak points before someone uses them against you. Do a personal audit. Where are you insecure? Where do you overcompensate? That's your target, not theirs. Because once you've faced your own gaps, there's nothing left for the world to weaponize. The Stoic doesn't wait for criticism to build resilience. He builds it daily, through reflection, humility, and brutal honesty with himself. So when judgment comes, he's already done the work. If it's true, he's working on it. If it's false, it slides off. Either way, he stays rooted. Epictetus taught that most suffering begins when we expect the world to validate our identity. But the Stoic doesn't seek identity in applause. He builds it in silence, through repetition, effort, and restraint. His confidence is not born from praise. It's born from alignment. He does what he knows is right, even when no one is watching, especially then. This is why criticism becomes irrelevant, not because you ignore it, but because you already have your compass. When someone attacks you, their voice must compete with your inner voice. And if that voice is strong, rooted in principle, not ego, the external noise gets filtered. Remember, Epictetus himself had no wealth, no title, no status. Yet emperors respected him. Why? Because he mastered what most people can't: emotional independence. He didn't need approval to act rightly. And when insulted, he didn't crumble. He examined. He remained still. So the next time someone tries to define you with their opinion, don't react. Just ask yourself, does this comment serve me? Does it improve me? Or is it just static from someone who hasn't done the work? You'll find that most of the time, it's the latter. And that realization is liberating. Criticism hurts most when we secretly believe it. That's why the Stoic works not to silence the critics, but to resolve the inner conflict. Epictetus would say, don't patch up your image, fortify your soul. When your values are clear and your intentions are clean, words lose their sting. You start to see judgment not as personal, but as information, sometimes useful, often irrelevant. And here's where it gets powerful. When you stop chasing approval, you become magnetic. People feel it, that calm, that stillness. You don't flinch when insulted. You don't shrink when praised. You hold yourself with quiet intensity, like a warrior who doesn't need to raise his voice to command the room. Your presence becomes louder than your defense. You begin to embody the very thing you were trying to explain. And ironically, that's when others start listening. Not because you're yelling, but because you've become undeniable. It's not arrogance, it's clarity. The kind of clarity that comes from detachment, not from people, but from needing anything outside yourself to feel whole. That's where confidence is born. That's where Stoic power begins to live. A student once asked Epictetus how to deal with someone who insults him. He replied, "If what they say is true, then you should thank them. If it's not true, then it doesn't concern you." That's the Stoic mindset, brutally honest, radically free. When your self-worth doesn't rise and fall with opinion, you become untouchable. This doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means your emotions don't drive your decisions. It means you recognize feelings without being ruled by them. You observe without attachment. You act, not to impress, but because it's the right move. And that makes you powerful in a way most people can't comprehend. So here's the challenge. Next time criticism comes, pause. Don't react. Don't explain. Don't defend. Just ask, what would Epictetus do? Then do it. Quietly, consistently, with discipline. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't to avoid criticism. The goal is to build a life so aligned with your values that criticism becomes background noise. Not because you don't hear it, but because it doesn't move you. And now a question for you. What's the one criticism that still gets under your skin, and why do you think that is? Let me know in the comments. Stay grounded, stay disciplined, stay free. If this hit something in you, don't just watch, subscribe.